everybody, it's Sierra, the Artsy Badger, and the day has finally come, the day we get to start a new sketchbook. So I believe I got this sketchbook recommendation from Juicy Ink. I think that's who said that she liked this brand of sketchbook. I don't know that she prefers this size, but as you guys may know, I have been really looking forward to using a smaller sketchbook this time around. And even before I started drawing in this sketchbook, I loved the paper quality. It is so nice, so I can definitely recommend this paper, at least for marker users so far. I haven't had a chance to try it out with watercolors yet, but it is mixed media, so it is supposed to be able to take a bit of everything. This time, since it is a bit of a dark cover, I am not going to be customizing the cover with my own drawing. Instead, I'm going to be using a bunch of stickers. I've been hoarding stickers for a long time. Some of these have come from anime conventions, others just from travels, others have been gifts. I really wish I could remember the artists of these Steven Universe stickers as well as the Inuyasha sticker, but unfortunately I just do not remember at this point. I have a problem where I purchase stickers and then I have like all these hopes and dreams of using them, but really they just end up staying in a file for a really long time because I don't want to use them. I want to save them for something good. And this seemed like the perfect opportunity to use some because I think they will get lots of love being on this sketchbook and be able to be memorialized that way. On this front page, I tried to keep the color palette somewhat cohesive. I pretty much tried to balance the orange and blues on the bottom with the two stickers on the top, and then the center are these kind of green, blue, yellow tones. And although the orange versus the green and yellow is kind of contrasting, I think it just brings some balance to the color palette, I guess. And then with the back, I was a little disappointed with how much it was already peeling up. You can't really tell here, but I do show that the actual cover bit is falling off of the cover paper, cover cardboard. I'm not sure exactly what you would call it, but the cover of the book has a layer of this almost fabric, and that fabric is peeling off. Anyway, the back of the book is a little bit more cool toned. I have another Steven Universe sticker, and I have a few other stickers. The Keep Tassie Wild was from my trip to Tasmania a few years ago. I can't believe it's already been a few years, but it was so much fun, and I have been wanting to use this sticker for a while, so I'm glad I finally got to stick it on something. And again, tried to kind of keep the color theory separate from the front, but cohesive for the back, if that makes sense. And then I was trying to decide what I wanted to do with the spine, and ultimately I decided to stick some of my letter stickers on there, and that's the completed cover. Now, I think I talked about this in my second video where I drew the sort of welcome page of my sketchbook, but this is largely inspired by drawing with waffles. Each new sketchbook, she draws a sort of welcome page where she sort of shows herself in her most current style, and then there's a start date and an end date. And I did that in my last sketchbook, so I wanted to keep that up. I don't think my style has changed that much because I have been, let's say, not really exercising my artist muscles as much as I should have been over the past year or so, but it was pretty fun to do nonetheless. I would say that maybe the style in which I frame a drawing has changed slightly, and I definitely was also trying to keep it similar to my first one. I did give myself glasses. I have been wearing glasses since before I started my other sketchbook, but I used to wear contacts a lot more, and now I pretty much never wear contacts. Not sure why that changed, but it did. So now that I got some sketching done and my ideas out on paper, it's time to start the real thing. and it took me many tries to just write out my name and get it centered like I wanted it. Next, I framed out my little self-portrait area with some washi tape. And got to sketching. I did change the sketch a little bit from my brainstorm page. I had the badger originally looking forward like I was, but I decided to change that. I guess I just thought it would look cuter looking up into the sky. I'm not entirely sure why I made that last minute decision, but that's what I ended up going with instead. I also haven't drawn this badger in a long time. I used to draw it every time for thumbnails, but then I started slacking on thumbnails. I just have been really dropping the ball lately, but with this new sketchbook, I'm hoping to get back into everything, such as posting on Instagram and doing thumbnails again, responding to comments again. Sorry, guys. But the reason I brought this up was it took me so many tries to get this badger right. For something so simple, you would think it wouldn't be that difficult to draw, but I was like, wow, I do not remember how to do this. I also realized why I don't really like to draw me with glasses, because glasses are heckin' hard. They do not look that good in an anime style, I feel like. In most animes where characters have glasses, I feel like they draw just the frame, but it's like cut out where the eyes are, or the glasses are just so huge that you can see the eyes through them, or they're meant to look kind of dorky. Anyway, my glasses are pretty large, but not that large. I didn't want it to look too cartoony. I don't really know how to describe the struggle I was feeling, but alas, I decided I wanted to draw myself more true to how I look every day, which is with glasses. So I did my best. Please forgive me. Hopefully it will be something that I will improve on in the future. Another thing I'm hoping for with this sketchbook is to be able to draw more things outside of the videos. That way the sketchbook tour at the end is a little more interesting than this past sketchbook tour. I feel really guilty that most of the stuff in that sketchbook are videos, and I would prefer to be doing more sort of finished pieces like my goal in Drawcember was, where I was doing like the potted puppies and the endangered species and those kinds of things. It would be nice to be able to get a little bit more of that in and have my sketchbook be more for personal stuff and occasional videos, but we'll see what happens. And I've been so excited to use this new sketchbook, but you know how people get those first page sketchbook jitters? I figured that doing this sort of welcome page would take away from that, but it doesn't, because it doesn't feel like the first page. The next page feels like the first page, because this one I like planned out and I knew exactly what I was gonna do, but I had no idea what I was gonna do for the next page. So I've been stressing about that, but I already have a sketch done and I think it's turning out okay. That being said, I am gonna be posting these kinds of things on my Instagram. So if you guys have not already, go ahead and give me a follow over there. I will put a link in the description. I'm pretty sure it's always in the description, but you can go find me there. I don't know if I can link anything besides YouTube videos in the iCard, but if I can, I will link my Instagram in the iCard. I'm pretty sure I don't have those privileges yet though, because I'm not monetized. Anyway, now to the fun part, the coloring. So this was another thing that I feel like I struggled with stylistically, because I wanted everything to be sort of flat like my badger is. My badger is always a flat color. I don't ever put shading on my badger, but that was really unnatural for me with a human character. I always go kind of heavy on the shading. So I was a little confused about what my goal was with the coloring for this drawing. You can see me using the flat coloring in the pants, but then I didn't want to leave the shirt just white, and I didn't want to just color the like one sleeve darker. Anyway, so it's kind of a weird mishmash of shading and not shading. By By the way, I do actually have these tie-dye shoes. They are my like casual shoe. I don't own that many shoes, but these tie-dye shoes are the ones that I wear if I want to wear closed-toed shoes, because if not, I just wear my Tevas, as much as my boyfriend hates them. They're comfy and they're easy. And they're better than flip-flops because they actually stay on your foot instead of like having to hold them on with your toes, if you know what I mean. And here you can kind of see my struggle with the skin tone. I wanted to add blushes and stuff, but not go too crazy with the shading. I was really having a lot of anxiety about it looking like the piece doesn't go together, like the badger and the girl, which is me, I guess, don't belong in the same piece. But in the end, I think it looks fine. I just was having a lot of anxiety about it at the time. The hair, I had the same issue. Flat colored hair just looked wrong. I needed to add some kind of shading to it. So it's pretty subtle, but I'm glad that I did it because otherwise it would have looked kind of weird, I think. And then I actually remembered to add my freckles. I feel like I forget to add my freckles all the time. That's probably because in real life my freckles are not that prominent, but it is just kind of a fun way to add character to a character, if that makes sense. And so I like my character to have freckles because I do technically have them, so there. Next, it was time to add in the black of the badger. And this was kind of stressful because I'm always worried about big chunks of black looking just like that, just big chunks of black, not having any form definition, losing the shapes of his paws and things like that. And I've always been really bad at like leaving little white spaces to differentiate one part of a black item with another. And I still didn't do that good of a job, but I did something and it looks okay. So, you know, you win some, you lose some, I guess. Then I added the stripe to my t-shirt. I do also actually have this t-shirt. In previous iterations of my chibi self, I have given it a turtleneck, and that's mostly because I really like turtlenecks, and it would be like my dream t-shirt to have the sort of like scalloped lettuce hem around my neck. But the actual shirt that I have does not have that, so I decided to make it, again, a little more realistic. Now I'm starting with the background, and that was one of the more difficult things to decide how to execute. I really wanted to keep it similar to my very first welcome page where there were like the leaves in the background, but I have been really enjoying this sort of negative space technique that I typically do with watercolor, and I decided I would try to do it with my markers. Oh my gosh, it was really, really hard with markers. I don't know why it's so much harder, probably because markers bleed a little bit more and maybe you have slightly less control than you do with an actual brush and watercolor. But ultimately, I think it turned out really good, and you don't really notice how much gross overlap there is in the leaves unless you look really close. So I think for the sake of videos, it looks fine. I do think I probably should have gone darker with this last dark layer, but what you gonna do? It was that color or like a black color, and I think black would have been too dark. I need more gray tones is the moral of this story. And I failed to do the little like lint test, so it did tear up a little bit on the side, but only one side, so I'd say that's pretty good odds. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. I hope you guys are as excited about this new sketchbook as I am. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.